Thank you guys for watching this video and coming here. And of course, I figured you come here because you're looking at microphone preamps for your digital audio workstation, which we talked about on the last show. So today's show, we're going to be talking about mic preamps and why are they good? Why are they important? I would say most of all, preamps can make your recording sound warmer. And what this means is instead of that flat kind of high hissing type sound, you know, where you have the annoying, I call it the annoying girl voice, you know, that nags at you at night. I'm not talking about your wife, but that just terrible sound that you get a lot of problems that you got DS after you record. Well, with preamps, this is already set in there. Basically, a preamp is already pre-distorted, meaning it's got that sound that you want. And when people used to record, they used to go with what person used what preamp, and they say, I want that vintage preamp sound because that's what made the sound. The microphone was flat and noisy, but they put it through that preamp and they say, man, I want that sound just like that preamp because it had that pre-gating noise and the compression already built into the preamp. And I do recommend anything, if you're going to be serious about your recording, if you're going to start recording guitars, you're going to start recording your vocals, especially if you're one of those analog type people that likes to play the guitar, then let me tell you something, folks. This is for you. This show is for you today about mic preamps, and I'm gonna recommend. They usually run $1,000. When I first started in the digital audio recording world, the Focusrite Redbubble preamps were what I would have gotten in my studio. So many guitarists, so many people would get this Focusrite preamp, and it would be the top of the line. And I believe the sale of those preamps is what got into the Focusrite Scarlett, which we talked about earlier show. This is talking about the preamps you need to make you sound better, and I cannot believe all of them are under $1,000, and these are the ones I use. First of all, you're most of the time are going to have a mono preamp, and the reason why is because you're going to have, you probably have two mic inputs. A singer only has one mouth, so you just really need technically a mono. Now, you can get another mono too, so you have stereo outputs, but I would recommend always using a microphone on your guitar on the outside and also the input as well. So technically, a mono mic preamp is all you mean, and when I mean mono, I mean one line input. And some of these devices, when you look at mic preamps, are mono. Look, if you want something to go from your line 6 stereo guitar player into a stereo mic preamp, that's fine. I'd recommend that as well if you're recording guitar, but still slap a nice microphone over that good amp of yours to get that crunchy, fat sound from your guitar. So let's talk about these preamps and why they're important. Number one, preamp can make your recording sound warmer. As I previously said, most preamps are grounded and they cut some of the hum out. Some have gating and compression. Today we are not using a mic preamp to go into this camera, so you know, because I'm not recording in my studio, I'm recording outside because it's beautiful today. So this is one of the reasons why I recommend a preamp. Get that vintage sound. Back in the day, there was a certain sound and do your research. Find out what made Gladys Knight a good singer. What preamp did she use? Or what preamp did those other people used to use? Or what those preamps of today, those soul singers, what mic preamps did they use? And what did the recording audio engineer use to connect them and to get that vintage sound that you want? And a lot of these do have that ability. It's less work in after recording, and what this means is not so much having to clean up after record. When you do use a mic preamp, you don't have to go and EQ it to get your vocals straight. I'm trying to sell you on this, folks, because you get into recording. And some of you probably right now are recording analog and you don't even use a preamp. Shame on you. What I use is, for myself, I use a DMPEM audio, and unfortunately, if you really want to get this preamp, you have to go to eBay. And let me explain something, folks. I would say 100% to 90% I've been satisfied with eBay and finding musical instruments. I do find musical instruments and preamps. I bought a preamp off of eBay. Alright, so let me get into these preamps. We've also got the Focusrite ISA 1 analog mic preamp with headphones and a cable bundle. Focusrite was known for their preamp in the digital audio recording world. Yes, I would recommend having one for that warmer sound. A Presonus Bluetube DP-V2 2-channel tube mic preamp AKG K240 Mark II headphone bundle. I had a single tube mic preamp Presonus Bluetube. Hook it up through my M audio. I love the sound. Unfortunately, it did not last very long. I bought it used off eBay, but I'm glad I did. I love this sound. The only problem is just like any other tube amp, you probably will have to eventually change the tube, and you can get the tubes off of eBay or from Amazon usually, and you know, you can be original, and that's the way the tube helps. The vacuum tubes help with the warm of the sound. Another one that I highly recommend and is the Arttube M2 Studio mic preamp, and they've got ones that are pre-compressor and also have gating on it. You can get all fancy you want with Arttube. Arttube used to, when I started DAW, they were one of the first ones you could get for $20. You can get the Natty as well. Natty's got pretty good sound too. Preamp, and I used to buy those for like you know, $20. Now something like these preamps run around $75. This Arttube MP Studio you're going to look at $300, $400. Sometimes I've seen them as expensive as $500, and that's fine, but you want that warm sound. And I will say right now, what it does basically, why do I want a preamp? It may also makes your mic louder, and we'll go into this as well. I have systems that are really good that I run, but the thing is, the microphone does not reach the limit for the effects to really kick in, and that's the reason why you need a mic preamp to get those effects to kick in that you want, and then just turn it down until you get the correct volume that you want. You have to adjust that preamp. You have to adjust, you know, that device until you get what you want there. And of course, one thing too is most of your preamps, if your preamp does not have phantom power, you're wasting your money. I can't imagine a preamp without phantom power, but there are and they are not usually tube preamps. And again, I'm big on the tube. I like the warm sound. There are other preamps that you can get. I have ones for special effects, which are basically a vocal processors, and we'll get into vocal processors later and why I use them and why I love them. Well, but we'll go into that some other time. But we have custom a certain sound with a mic preamp. It can determine your sound. That's what I would say is like, what is your sound? Say if you're Bob Jones and you are Tom Lee and you are in the studio, but people don't understand your sound. Your mic preamp can determine your sound. Why does Bob Jones or how does Tom Lee sound? They sound because they use that preamp and being able to adjust it correctly. And like I said, with most of your preamps, you're going to turn that volume down so you get that route sound. And that's what's so great, because you don't have to turn up your your other devices, because that preamp makes it loud enough for your digital audio workstation to be happy and say, yeah, turn it down just a little bit. You want to pick up every little sound and make it warmer, thicker. Get a good preamp like an Arttube MP Studio Mic Preamp or a Focusrite. And we'll get into microphones as well, because you got to have all the basics, and we'll go over everything from microphones. We'll go into digital audio workstations. We'll go into monitors, because all these things are important to building that home recording studio. And of course, on a budget, that's fine. This is summertime, guys. The AC is running, and we'll go over that as well. So thank you for watching, subscribing, liking, and sharing.
Who's your daddy?
Having issues distributing your music? Try DistroKid today. Get your music distributed through Spotify, through iTunes, Pandora, TikTok, through YouTube, through Twitch, all by clicking below. Click on the link below and try DistroKid to get your music distributed today. I've tried it and I've loved it.